Hi everybody, it's Mark from MT.TrainRestorations. I'm just going to introduce my latest challenge. It's not so much of a challenge, I hope, but I have a Chesapeake, Ohio, an Alco, a 2024. I've had it wrapped up on the shelf for quite a while. I never really ran it very much. I acquired it probably I don't know, maybe 6-7 years ago. Bought it, threw it on the track. It bumped around a little bit sporadically. I put it on the shelf, packed it up, moved it from one state to another, unwrapped it today with a few other things, so a couple other Alcos, and I put it on the track, and in the journey going back and forth from state to state, it did not get any better. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take it apart. I'm going to see what's going on with it for the first time. I'm going to open this one up. I don't even remember who I got it from, but let me move this aside for a minute. Let me take the screw out of the back here. I think I only bought it because the shell is in such great shape. As you can see, usually these are cracked, or at least, you know, some are even gone, but this one doesn't even have a crack, so I'm liking that. Very clean inside, geez. But this is a post-war piece, and it's an original post-war piece, and well, that doesn't encourage me much, but okay. Got tape here, and you know, oh, there's no there's no E unit, there's just a switch. So it's either going one way or the other, which E unit does anyway, sort of, but it's a two-position switch, I guess I would say. And okay, exciting. So anyway, I know with the jerky, I mean, it's filthy. I was looking up inside the gears today, and you can see they kind of, that one small gear always jacks up on these Alcos. They're on a pin. You know, the gear stud is just a stud sticking out from the chassis. The gear slides over it. There's nothing holding it on. If you take the wheel off, it'll just fall off, just like the other two, or the other wheel. But it really cocks sideways sometimes, so that's not good. That's going to wear the teeth on that to the point where it just doesn't engage correctly. That could be most of my problem, I don't know, but it's filthy. So I'm gonna take it apart here real quick, and before I get too involved, I'm gonna put some gloves on. So because I've been killing my hands lately with cleaner and so on from taking stuff apart. So give me a second here just to get prepared. But these cheapy gloves, you could buy a box of them for, I don't know, $7-8, whatever it is, but they really help protect your skin and fingers and so on and so forth. They do have their downside. You know, it's hard to do a few things sometimes when you got the rubber in between your work and your skin, but 90% or 95%, I like it. All right, so anyway, I move this over here. Let's see, do I have a little tray to put this in? Probably do, but I'm not going to. Anyway, let's take the brush plate off here and see what's going on underneath with the armature and the gear location. The axle gear, all it is just a little gear, a box down below there. It's got probably grease in it. It's probably pretty old. So I'm gonna set these here. Not sure why this was hanging off, but I guess we'll find out. I'm gonna try to take this off without losing the brushes too much. There's one brush here. Ooh boy, that's nasty in there. Look at that. That brush is stuck. And it's all caked up. It's got all kind of carbon buildup on it. It's pretty gooey, it's sticky. See how black my finger. Okay, so anyway, yeah, that's pretty dirty. So we're gonna clean up. Now see, this is a double wound magnetic coil. That's the reason for the green wire and the copper wire color. Yeah, this is very dark, very black. Oh, it's all full of hair. Yeah, it's one of those things, I guess. It's been neglected for a long time. So the bulb looks good. The bulb is clean. Somebody must have been in there and cleaned the bulb. So anyway, I'm going to clean the armature first, since I got it out. I got my, where did it go? Where has it gone? Here it is. This is my fiberglass brush. I think I spoke about these before for everybody. These are really cool. They're good for cleaning the commutator plates. It's just what it is. It's a fiberglass pencil, and it acts like a lead pencil, sort of. You just take that top black part and turn it, and more fiber will come out. And as you can see the difference, it does a pretty nice job. Then I clean up, you know, with some alcohol or electrical degreaser, whatever you have or whatever you're comfortable with using. But yeah, there we go. It's pretty nice shape. I get a toothpick down in these little, look at all that, look at that stuff coming out of there. It's all black. I got my little do-rag over there. Get all this out. It's all that built up carbon from the brushes. Yeah, it's pretty dirty, so we'll get some of that out of there. Yeah, okay, so with that said, let me get a little bit of my alcohol on a Q-tip here. Look how dirty, greasy the plates are. Everything on this thing is filthy, and it's kind of sticky, gum up. I mean, that's probably why it runs a little bit of slower, and it actually seems to spitter or sputter, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, man, well, look how greasy and caked on that is, and that even shouldn't be in there like that much. I mean, it's really some greasy, junky. I don't know what they were using for lube on this, but they either used way too much or something. But it's I never seen them all that dirty. I mean, you can see the side winding in green, but look at the bottom, and I mean, it's just kind of black. So I'm gonna need a new swab here in a minute to get this better. I mean, not that you have to clean this. I mean, this is, you know, it's not going to make it run better by having clean copper windings per se, but I like the idea. If you just got it out and it's in your hand and you have the stuff to do it with, I mean, I just like to have as clean of everything as I can. That just eliminates, you know, well, what do you think's wrong with it now? Or sometimes you discover under the grease and grime a problem. You know, there might be a winding that's broken. There may be one disconnected, or solder came off of the commutator plate up here. You can see where the commutator plate is soldered on in 3 spots. Each plate has one solder ball from the windings, and sometimes these do break loose. I had a fella send me a picture of his problem on his engine, and he found it to be that the commutator plate and the plastic that it's glued to and the copper connection was snapped off. I don't know what kind of impact that would have taken to do that, but it was broke off. He found that problem. He was able to connect it back together and resolder everything, and he got it working. I mean, he emailed me a couple of times, you know, what do you think is the problem? What, you know, what do you see? What do you think? And I told him what what the symptoms he had, what I thought it could be. You know, we eliminated it all the way down to one at a time, one of the things at a time, and got to the armature, and I told him make sure all the commutator plates are in good shape, good condition, and connected, and you have continuity in all three plates. And while he was doing that, he found the problem. So, I mean, there's grease on here. I don't know why, but anyway, let me get a fresh Q-tip here. Cleaning and cleaning. I don't need to really keep showing everybody the cleaning part, but you kind of get my drift. We'll get this all cleaned off. I'll wire wheel. This worm drive is just full of dead grease. I mean, it's just caked in there. Let's see if we can scrape out some and show you what's in there. I can see, it's hard to see it on camera, but I can see it's all the way down to the stem of the winding. You can see there's hair wrapped around it. I don't know if you can see the hair wrapped around it. So I'm gonna I got a little wire brush here. I mean, sometimes I'll take them to my wire wheel on my bench grinder and just spin it through there. It gets in there pretty good. But for the sake of me walking all the way over there, I'll just do this. But you can do either one, but you want to get all that cleaned out of there. You want to clean this up the best you can. I'm going to set that to the side for now, and I'm going to continue looking at what we got here. There's nothing in there grease-wise that I could see. I mean, I can see hair, fuzz. Even the axle gear, I don't know if you can see in the picture, but it's kind of worn in the middle. It's a little concave. The teeth are a little bit dug out from the worm gear. Not a good sign. I think it will still run. I'm more concerned about the, not the pinion gear, but the secondary gear here that is sticking sideways. You can see that this gear over here on the outside of the gearbox is cockeyed because, like I said, they're just slid onto a stem, and if they start to wiggle and move a little bit, it wears the hole out in that gear. Then the gear will always creep out and off its stem with time. So this may not even work cleaning it. We'll try it, but I have a feeling I'm gonna have to take this truck apart and replace that gear, and I may have to even replace the axle gear because it's not badly worn. Let me see if I can clean this up a little bit. I got a new can of CRC cleaner and degreaser. I love this stuff. Got my trusty rag here and my waste basket. Let me shoot some grease down in here. Excuse me for a minute. I'm gonna get some stuff down in there and see if I can get that gear to where I can at least see it clearly and what's going on with it. So I shot some stuff down in there. I don't know if you can see the puddle. I created a puddle down in that box where the gear lube usually lives, but this is just like a crock pot now of grime and fuzz, and I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if they had a pet cat or what they were doing on the rug on the floor, but oh man, it's terrible. It's kind of gross, actually. Really gross. Anyway, I'm going to try to get this out as best as we can. Like I said, I don't want to waste our time on screen here of that, so I'm going to take a little bit of a exit for a minute or two and dig this stuff out and get it as clean as possible before we can examine the gears. So I'm going to put a little bit more clean alcohol here on a tip, and the grime and the grease that's on here is terrible. Up in where the brushes go, it's actually pretty caked in there. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of disassembly to get this into some kind of a shape where I can do a good examination of what's going on. But like I said, I just wanted to open this up with everybody and then find out at the same time I find out what's wrong with it. So it's not the end of the world, I hope, for this engine. I do have some other trucks. I think I have axle gear. I may have one. That's the big axle gear. It's got a big hole in the center. Taking them in and out are difficult, so that's going to take a little bit of doing. But in the meantime, I'm going to try to get it cleaned and in my hands, and I might even have to take it out to get a haircut. I don't know. I'll take it to the barber shop. Oh man, is that so wound up with fuzz? It's incredible. So give me some time. I'll pop right back in and show you some of the progress of where we're at with it, and we'll continue and see if we can tackle all the problems we have. Like I said, somebody has kind of modified this to a point, and they must have ran it hard. It probably was played with a lot for that gear to wear down a little bit and the other gears to wear and be so filthy. It's a shame, but I see it all the time. So I will be right back shortly, and we'll go from there. So here's a couple shots of what I found inside. Pretty gross, huh? Actually, on the outside too, at the main gear, I was able to pull out a couple clumps of hair. Take a look. Ooh. So anyway. Okay, so I'm back. Oh my gosh. What a mess it was. You can see I pulled out a lot of hair. A couple hair balls. But I cleaned her up. The teeth on the drive gear, axle gear is pretty nice. Make sure we keep an eye on it. But so we got the truck 99% clean, and I'm going to go back now over to the wheel and clean this up a little bit more, and I'll be right back. Okay, well, I cleaned out the truck pretty well, and I got the armature dressed out. I did it on my wire wheel, cleaned it up pretty good, and it's ready to go in. So what I'm going to do is take a look up in there. It looks like the ball bearing at the bottom of the armature is intact. I see something when I look in there shining. So it looks like it's in there. It's hard to get out if they're in there, but sometimes some people dig them out. But anyway, the wheels roll fine, the gears work well, and the one gear that's a little cockeyed seems to be falling into place a lot better now that it's all cleaned out and there's no hair behind it. So the next step is going to be let's grease it up. We'll put the armature back in, get some grease oil on it and so forth, and get ready to put it back together. And so what we'll do is get some grease out, put it on the bottom where it belongs on the worm gear, fit it inside where the ball bearing is, and then it's a matter of putting the brush plate and everything back together. Looking down in there, like I said, it looks to me, looks like a ball bearing. It feels like one. So I think it's ready to go back together. Now, what I found is a worth of information is in this book. You can see down here that there's the armature, there's a ball bearing called out. So some of them don't have ball bearings. I mean, I'm not sure why, but there's some of these horizontal armatures that don't have a bearing at the bottom.
but most of them do, and they're in a little teeny hole at the bottom of the gearbox. So I think we're okay. I think it's good shape. We could start putting this back together with a little bit of grease. So pardon my tube, it's kind of old, but grease comes out a couple different spots, so it is what it is, but it's still good grease. I squeeze it out and I use like a toothpick or something and apply it to where it needs to go. I'm going to put a little bit on the worm drive, and we'll stick some down inside as well. And yeah, I have a couple tubes like this, but it is what it is. It's still good. Just, you know, you don't have to load it up because it'll just fly everywhere. I get some down inside where the ball bearing hole is, and I try to get as much as I can on the gear. I just run it back and forth a little bit, try to get some of that lube all around the axle gear the best you can. Then once we put the armature back in with the worm drive gooed up, it'll all mesh together. So that'll be what we do next here. So I think I have an ample amount in there right now. So let's see what we can do with that. It looks like it's over everything pretty well. And I'm going to put a little extra around the worm drive gear teeth, a little bit on the tip. It goes down inside where the ball bearing is. And just set it in there, and you'll see when it falls into place. You can wiggle it back and forth a little bit. See how it moves? That's perfect. So just make sure it's down in there. When you push in one direction, it'll spin on you. There we go. So that's kind of how it's placed in there. It's not too difficult. So typically the next trick will be putting the brushes in the brush plate, sorting out the wires here. I'll do that after. I'll take these wires because they're actually, this filled coil is wound with double wires. There's a green colored and a copper colored wire wound around this together. And it's usually done this way for the 2-position switches. And you can also put a 3-position switch in here, but you have to separate the wires and they go together differently. So when you have the two or the multiple windings, you have to separate the correct wire, put it where the power is and where the brushes go, and so on and so forth. So I will sort that out as I put everything back together. But again, I'll reference my book, make sure we have it, because I think, you know, that's why we had that extra wire left over that wasn't connected. So I'm going to put the armature in with another dab of grease on the worm gear and make sure it's in place. It's turning the truck, so we'll get ready to get the brush plate now. So let me get some of this stuff moved around. So now I soaked that brush plate. I don't know if you remember how black it was inside as well. So I just soaked it in some degreaser. You can see how black the degreaser liquid got in that jar. But I soaked everything on that napkin there. So next, looking at the frame, it's pretty bad shape. It's filthy dirty. So I think might as well just take it apart. It's easier just to take it apart and go from there. And then that way everything will be clean. So once we get that far, then we can assemble everything and see what the wiring ends up has to be. So, and I will put a centering spring on that truck. I do have some. I had an order come in this week. So we'll start the assembly process, get some of this stuff sorted out, and then when I come back, I'm going to address the frame and the front truck and so on.
Set it down there, but so okay, so I got that in there. I'm going to put the brush cover back on. We'll get some get the brushes back in and clean those off. You can see how they go in there. They have a little notch on the top that the spring goes in the notch and keeps that pressure on. So what we'll do is we're just going to try to do this little thing right here, so I don't lose the brushes again. Put this in there and there and there. There we go. So I'm going to put the screws back in, at least this side here. So that's it. I'm going to set this aside for a little bit. I'm going to work on the rest of the frame. We'll take this apart and just kind of wash everything, clean it before I put it back together. Okay, I'm back, and I took a few minutes, took these over to the wash tub, used some 409, a little bit of air pressure. So you can see that front truck come apart in a few pieces. I was able to get the wheels out of there, no problem. They go down in these little notches. And then this piece here, if I do recollect, I do believe, let's see here, I think these went down over top pressure, so that's that. Got that done. This is the tank. Goes under here. Little water left there. Put this screw in here. My fingers are too chubby. That screws back inside here. I want everybody to see. Okay, where did I put my, there it is. So this screws back together. So that's the tanks. This goes back on top of the truck before we put it on. That makes good contact. I mean, it is picking up ground from the wheels, the metal part hitting the wheel axle, which is metal, giving it some brass contact here, a good ground. Then we have the horseshoe clip. Slide this back over. Give it a little squeeze here. We'll probably end up replacing some of these wires, but I'm going to put this back on. This was the screw it held it on. The old switch. Okay, so that's as nice as that looks. So, as I was saying before, you feed all these things through the hole, set this down on here, and that's it. The only thing that holds these together are the spring clips. These go down first. They slide right over these stems, like such. Then a spring on each, and then the clip itself. Everybody always says, well, how far do you push them down? Well, the further you push them down, the snugger they are, the tighter everything is. You want a range of motion, but you don't want a big sloppy, every time you move it, it's slopping around. So I would say I go down about halfway. That way we still have motion. So these wires, you know, I cut them off before just to make it easier to take this apart and clean it. I kind of have an idea where they all went, but just to be sure, this one went over here, this went here. I have this one was tied to I'm missing one here. It's got to be hiding here a little bit. There it is. This one here went over to here. So we get this back on here, I do believe. So we'll have to get the wires sorted out. I think I'm going to replace a couple of these since they're pretty bad. So I'm going to, melt up the solder, get them all loose, clean this up, get these wires kind of cleaned up a little bit, and get them back to where they need to be. And then this, like I said, this was hanging before, if you remember, and we'll have to check this one out and see what's going on with it. So with that said, I'm going to start doing some of that, and when we get back, I'll explain what I did and why. All right, I will see you in a minute. Okay, I'm back. Just to catch you up on what I've been doing, I have, as you said, I saw it clean the frame, put the light fixture back on, switch back on, rewired it, got the wires where they needed to go, likely. So anyway, let's take this to the test track, and we'll see what we get. I do believe we'll get some good action here. Actually, give me a second here. What I can do, I have a little test track over here. I could probably make a little bit of space over here and capture what I'm doing. So give me a second here to make a little room, and I will see if I can get this contraption over here. I have a little test track that I use over here. It's not very long, so we will bring it over here. How's that? And I'm going to pop my power on it. I got a couple alligator clips. Let's see if she works or blows up. Alright, oh, I got my wire tangled up. Give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. Anyway, got my power. We got our neutral. Let's see what we get here. Alright, we're kind of in the middle right now. Let's see what happens. Okay, forward, reverse, forward, whoop, and knock my power off. But you can see she's working, which is a good thing. So with that said, let me get this out of the way. We will, let's see what else we got to do to it. I think that was it. I mean, the frame needs, what it really needs is sandblasted, which I may do one day, sandblast the frame, repaint it, but I still can't get over the shape of the shell. The shell is in remarkable shape for its age, and it looks really good. So we're going to put all this back on. Somehow, some way. There, we almost got to make sure we ain't got nothing in the way here. Got to, hold on. Got to make sure we get this through correctly. That's how it looks like the only tricky spot is to get, there we go. So we got the front through the slot and the back over the top. We just had to get the handle through, and this is a Phillips. So here we go. We're going to pop this together. All right. So what we're going to do is take this over to the big track, the big boy track. We're going to try that out. So give me a second while I disconnect and go over there, and we'll try this out. How's that? All right. I will see you back in probably in your time. It's going to be, seems like a minute. Okay, here we are at the big table. I have a small track here that I use for my bumper cars actually, so don't go too far, but I think it'll go far enough to give us what's going on. Okay, so it's going backwards right now. Flick it forward. Very nice. Let's try it backwards again. Flick that switch. It's a manual switch, so it is what it is. There we go. Working good. So, there we have another one. I don't think we have a neutral, even if I put it in the middle. Let's see what happens. Yeah, we do. Okay, so the light is really bright. I might have to tone that bulb down a little bit, but like I said, it's a nice little Alco. It's one of the lower end quality pieces built, but they all look the same on the outside, and this one's a good runner now. It's all been fixed up, all the hair and grease is out of it, so I think I'm going to call this the end of the video for now. So I'll put it all together and send it out there and see what your thoughts are. Again, this is Mark from MT Restorations, and if you'd like to send me an email, that'd be great. MT.TrainRestorations@gmail.com. That'd be super. Until next time, folks, keep them running. Have fun. Bye-bye.